bus. Hey, what's going on guys? Me, Mortimer here, and I think this might be the single video project that I've spent the most amount of time working on ever. Not least for the fact that I had to do it throughout every single day of 2025. But yeah, this is an idea I've had since the end of 2022. However, I only decided to actually do it at the end of 2024. But yeah, all throughout 2025, I kept a tally of how many buses, trains, and trams I had been on throughout the year. And then towards the last month and a bit of the year, I also included ferries in that. But yeah, I didn't actually think about how I was going to do this video until, well, about 3 hours ago as of me filming this. Bearing in mind that I am filming this the Monday before this releases because I'm hella unwell, so I don't have to go into school. But I thought, let's just rattle through a few key dates here and, just discuss those. I need to work something out for this microphone. I keep rubbing it against my chin and I'm worried it's gonna make the audio a bit. Oh. Well done, you idiot. Okay, so it turned out that my best solution was actually just getting another hoodie. Anyways. So first of all, January actually started very similar to how it started for me this year. I was unwell for over a week. With that being said though, on the 6th of January, I actually went out and I didn't realize that I was still unwell. Maybe staying out of the house for about 8 hours that day wasn't my smartest move. But yeah, when I got home, I just immediately felt shit afterwards. So yeah. Real smart move on my behalf, eh? 19th of January, I heard that a Northern Trains Class 158 was passing Dunbar, and I started tweaking. Yeah, it was going from Neville Hill Depot in Leeds to Kilmarnock Works. So I'm a bit confused as to why it went via Dunbar and not, up the Settle and Carlisle line and then along the Glasgow Southwestern line to Kilmarnock from there. However, that's kind of overshadowed, to me at least, by the second bullet point I have. I also bumped into Will Rides Trains and he complained about how loud I was. First of all, valid complaint, I was walking down North Berwick High Street with him practically shouting. Veg! Did you just get Charlie? That's all good for sign an NDA! There's a letter! However, the thing that sticks out most to me is me referring to him as Will Rides Trains is really weird in hindsight. Like, when I was writing this down, Will was just that guy who makes the cool train videos I watch. And now it's like we're actual just best mates. So referring to him as Will Rides Trains in a way that isn't intended as being satirical, it's just weird. 24th of January, we had Storm Eowyn, which kept everyone inside all day. But yeah, I remember when I found out that school was cancelled that day, I was thinking, oh yeah, how about I go up to Fife for the day and do the full journey on the AB1 before it gets withdrawn. For those unaffiliated, the AB1 was autonomous bus route from Edinburgh Park to Ferrytoll Park and Ride. I've done a couple videos on it. Next day, I had my day trip to Hamilton. I remember I wanted to get the train to Shotts. However, that kind of fell through due to, surprise, surprise, Storm Eowyn. But yeah, it was extremely sunny in Edinburgh and Glasgow. However, in Hamilton, it was Baltic. Like, it was chucking it down with snow. It was like -5 degrees. And I think I was just wearing my high-vis jacket that I wore all the time at that point. And then maybe a hoodie like this underneath. And then a t-shirt. So, yeah, really well dressed. Nowadays, I'd like to think that I'm maybe a bit better at dressing for the weather with my pervy Sherlock jacket. So overall, in January, I rode 97 buses, 6 trams, and 2 trains, with total transport costs reaching £5.60. And in total, I filmed 26 videos for CSB, 6 for Central Scotland Buses Deluxe, which is now this channel, and 4 videos for Central Scotland Rail. 2nd of January, I rode 16 buses, a tram, and a train in one day. I left the house at 7 AM after going off of less than 4 hours sleep, and I didn't get back home until 5. That's just normal for me now. A couple weeks ago, I went up to Inverness for the day. Weak content spoiler there, sorry. And I didn't get to sleep until midnight, and then I woke up at 3:30. And then I left the house at 5 AM and I was out until about 8 PM. 13-hour day off of about 3 hours sleep. So, 7th of February, had a CAMS appointment in the morning, so didn't go into school and instead spent the afternoon running around Dunfermline on 9700 double-deckers. 11th of February, went around Kirkcaldy trying the new Stagecoach E100 EVs and Evoras. Those Evoras are now on the Isle of Arran. Kinda pissed that they took our Stagecoach Evoras up in Fife, but we still have the E100 EVs though, and as far as electric buses go, I think they are some of my favourites. Additionally, I've got a bullet point saying LNER are wicked cheap between the Lothians and Fife. £5, £2.20 for a child single between Haymarket and Kirkcaldy with LNER compared to £5.20 with ScotRail. And then I think I did a little bit of a butt dial or whatever, as under that bullet point, I just have text that says 14th of February, I finally started the ADHD medication, and it works, thank God. 19th of February, so getting stranded in Ballincree for an hour with no phone service, money, water, food, or much of anything else was fun. I said that as if it was the middle of nowhere. Aberlady's like a 20-minute walk away from Ballincree. 23rd of February, 28662 on the X27. 20th of February, 1st of March, and 2nd of March, I did my Edinburgh Transport speedrun. I think that's possibly my favorite video project I've ever done for YouTube. If you guys want to see that, then just see the games playlist we have on this channel. It should be the first 3 videos there. After the first day, we reached the end of February. In total, in February, I rode 187 buses, 8 trams, 6 trains. Total transport costs reached £12.60, and total videos made, I made 37 videos for Central Scotland Buses, 8 videos for Central Scotland Buses Deluxe, and 5 videos for Central Scotland Rail. 3rd of March, absolutely sent it from school to make a bus home I normally wouldn't make, just so I could review Lothian service changes in time for the video releasing that evening. And then my internet shat itself, and I had to postpone the video to Thursday. I think that's something that kind of always plagued bus news on this channel, was the fact that if there was something I had to review and upload that day, and I had to absolutely breeze through filming it and then edit like there was no tomorrow. But now that this channel's been rebranded, I think Bus News is kind of just dead at this point, so don't really have to worry about that anymore, I guess. I say despite the fact that this video has to be releasing in about 4 days' time. 5th of March, this was the last day that the road between Ballincree and Londonderry was closed. Of course, my appointment had to be just a day before it reopened, so I couldn't actually do a proper FRV on the 127. I just had to get off at Dremen and waste £4 going back in. Yeah, I think if there's any takeaway I have from CSB during late 2024 and early 2025, it's that filming the full journey on school buses really makes you look like a pervert, doesn't it? Like, I mean, I am of the age where I would be using like a proper school bus if my school actually had them past my area. But yeah, actually just getting on school routes for schools I don't even go to, let alone filming on them, is beyond weird. I think if ever there's any FRVs I'm ever going to end up taking down, I think those are going to be the first ones on the chopping block. 27th of March, I finally managed to do the full journey on the 127, yay. In total, in March, I rode 197 buses, 10 trams, 5 trains, and my total transport cost totaled up to £15.75. And in total, I filmed 26 videos for Central Scotland Buses, 10 videos for Central Scotland Buses Deluxe, and 2 videos for Central Scotland Rail. 6th of April, it's that time of year again where I start sucking off all the Lothian tour buses. Sorry, Morty, I had to, yeah, you, Charlie. You didn't have to describe it like that. 12th of April, Dud Knee or something. I don't know, I'm only part Scottish. 15th of April, Glen Raw Fish or something. I don't know, I'm only part Scottish. 17th of April, seeing that completely unfinished Gen 2 E400 EV just casually passing through the Forth Valley Royal Infirmary was probably one of the coolest things to happen on CSB this year. Yeah. Note to self, just because it's an all-you-eat buffet doesn't mean that you should eat 4 sausages, 3 sweet pork dumplings, 2 ladles worth of shredded chicken coated in honey and sesame seeds, and a partridge, and 7 chicken tenders, 4 tablespoons of sweet corn, roughly 300 grams of chips, an ungodly amount of fried rice, 4 weird prawn chicken pasta things, 4 squares of jelly, a dish of bread and butter pudding, and 2 bowls of ice cream, one of which had been dunked under a chocolate fountain. Thanks, Beijing Banquet, you made me feel like a marble. Yeah, just because it's an all-you-eat buffet doesn't mean you have to eat all of that. It's not really the restaurant's fault, is it? 21st of April, Glasgow or something. I'm only part Scottish. Also, I should just say that I am including the Glasgow Subway, Entine, and Weir Metro as being trains and not their own category, because it just makes life simpler. 27th of April, Leaving Mouth or something. I don't know, I'm only part Scottish. God, I really milked that joke, didn't I? Yeah, no, the 5 Heritage Railway bus bundle's kind of mid, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, it's cool that if you pay £5, you can drive a train or whatever, and the vintage buses they do have there are quite cool. But at the same time, outside of those two, there's not really a lot to do. All in all, in April, I rode 184 buses, 3 trams, and 9 trains. My total transport costs were £39.70. And in total, I made 64 videos for Central Scotland Buses, 12 videos for Central Scotland Bus Deluxe, and 10 for Central Scotland Rail. 2nd of May, y'all have no idea how much effort I put in to retrieve the files for that 688 FRV after I lost them. I fought tooth and nail for that shit. Yeah, fighting tooth and nail to recover the files for an FRV on a school bus is weird. 4th of May, another note to self here. Attempting to run from Rosyth to Dunfermline in 45 minutes before 9 in the morning on a Sunday is far from your brightest idea. It makes you exhausted for the rest of the day, gives you horrid food ache, and it makes you smell atrocious. First of all, before 9 o'clock in the morning, that's light work. Second of all, gives you horrid food ache. I do plenty of walks that are around as long as the walk from Rosyth to Dunfermline nowadays, and yeah, it doesn't really hurt my feet as much now. 10th of May, when did Yutong decide, actually, maybe being a bus manufacturer isn't a good idea, since those E12s in Falkirk are leagues better than the Glasgow ones? Have you thought about the concept that the Falkirk ones, get this, are newer? 19th of May, Little Bakery is such steal. I got 2 rolls and a donut for under £1. Yeah, no, Lidl is the only supermarket where I actually have its app. Like, I frequently use my Lidl Plus card. I think the only thing that annoys me is that Lidl are a lot more few and far between compared to, say, your average Tesco or whatever. 25th of May, still can't believe I did the Edinburgh Marathon. Might have been by bus, but that's besides the point. 31st of May, honestly, 10 quid for a grand total of 17 minutes on a class 117 maybe wasn't the smartest investment I've ever made. Yeah, I'm either really frugal with money, or I just spend way more than I realistically should be on the most stupid things. So in total, in May, I rode 148 buses, 5 trams, 11 trains, and my total transport costs came out to £35.65. And then in total, I filmed 24 videos for Central Scotland Buses, 11 videos for Central Scotland Buses Deluxe, and 5 videos for Central Scotland Rail. 5th of June, had to take the day off because my body was having a moment. Yeah, that was scary. I got really bad chest pains, just about fainted like 4 times. Had an awful fever, which when it was like 20 degrees outside, that wasn't particularly pleasant. And on top of that, I had a stomach bug, so my body basically just managed to contract just about every disease it could realistically find. 14th of June, why is my immune system so rubbish? Yeah, I got unwell again. 21st of June, oh wow, I miraculously recovered from my illness right in time to veg the buses at the Royal Highland Show. Who'd have seen that coming? Yeah, I actually saw my art teacher at the Royal Highland Show this year whilst I was vegging. She probably thought it was a bit suspicious that, I was off school that entire week unwell, yet I was completely fine on the Saturday of the Royal Highland Show. So in total, in June, I rode 114 buses, 7 trams, 6 trains, and my total transport costs were £11.45. And in total, I filmed 24 videos for Central Scotland Buses, 7 for Central Scotland Buses Deluxe, and 6 for Central Scotland Rail. 1st of July, built in 122 AD. It's not so new now then, is it? Yeah, this was my first time going to Newcastle. I'm kind of glad that the pun I made about Newcastle was that it's not very new and not me just saying nuke asshole or something. 14th of July, my new bus pass photo. I need to get this, hold on. Yeah, so there's my old bus pass photo. Oh, how charming it is. And then none other than this abomination here. One of these bus pass photos is the molester and the other is the molested, and I can't tell which is which. 28th of July. I do not remember Plaxton Pointers being as good as Stagecoach 34715 is. Jeezo. 29th of July. My bus pass expired, so I'm going to have to spend money on buses. In total, in July, I went on 107 buses and 9 trains. My total transport costs totaled up to £52.85, and in total, I filmed 51 videos for CSB, 14 videos for Central Scotland Bus Deluxe, and 7 videos for Central Scotland Rail. Why do I say Central like that? Central. 6th of August. You know, for such a nothing e-city, Perth is a surprisingly large city centre. I know it's not huge per se, like it doesn't really hold a candle up to, say, Glasgow city centre. But if we're to take, say, anything within that ring road as the city centre, then it is quite large. 8th of August, Lanark bus station in a nutshell. 1 Evora, 2 Evora, green Evora, blue Evora. 15th of August, AA batteries caused a few code 1s. No further context is required for the video. Oh. 17th of August, I'm still kind of surprised that I filmed 5 FRVs at SVBM and only 2 actually made it to YouTube. Since one of them corrupted, one of them I accidentally deleted off my camera instead of exporting, and then one of them I didn't even press record in the first place. 22nd of August, I wish I'd gotten a return train ticket from Edinburgh to Glasgow instead of shelling out 16 quid for for 2 singles, only 15 pence more as opposed to double the price. Yeah, so this is when we filmed Which is Faster episode, I think 13, where we were racing from Glasgow City Centre to Murrayfield Stadium in Edinburgh. So originally the race was going to be Edinburgh Waverley to Glasgow Queen Street, with me getting the train from Edinburgh Waverley to Glasgow Central, and then Will and Mac getting the 900 from Edinburgh bus station to Buchanan bus station. But yeah, that didn't work out well. Their 900 didn't show up until about 45 minutes after the one they were meant to get actually arrived. But what annoys me the most is I actually debated whether I should get a single ticket or a return ticket when I was buying my ticket at Edinburgh Waverley, and I thought, oh, I'll just get a single because I'll be getting the 900 back. And then that happened. So yeah, instead of spending, I think, about £8.40, I ended up spending 16 quid. 23rd of August, I contracted a stomach bug, and then it turned out to be COVID. I got COVID twice in 2025. Okay, so in August, I rode 111 buses, 3 trams and 2 trains. Total transport cost reached £44.35, and in total I filmed 18 videos for Central Scotland Buses, 8 for Central Scotland Bus Deluxe, and 2 for Central Scotland Rail. 12th of September, my new trim. 20th of September, Midland Bluebird Larbour Open Day ear rape. So yeah, the Midland Bluebird Open Day was kind of a bit of a letdown. With that being said though, for only 10 quid, I managed to get a cushion made out of the McGill's Maquette, which I would say is a lot more better value than the £40 Northern pillowcases that they were selling at Heaton 150, the other event happening that day. 27th of September, Lothian Doors Open Day was mid. The highlight of my day was trying the new Jet 747 BZLs. So this just kind of ties into what I was talking about with the Larbour Open Day. These are more aimed as family days out, where you can take the kids or whatever. So yeah, in September, I went on 120 buses, 1 tram and 7 trains, and in total I spent £48.85 on travel costs. And in total, I made 11 videos for CSB, 9 for Central Scotland Bus Deluxe, and 3 for Central Scotland Rail. 5th of October, I think a 51-minute delay is the worst we've ever had on any FRV. Yeah, that was awful. Yeah, I dragged Will out to Glasgow to do the full journey on various rail replacement buses. Partick to Garrow Hill was the problem child of the two of them. It was meant to take 1 hour and 4 minutes to get from Partick to Garrow Hill. However, due to a ton of congestion at the East End and then along Duke Street, we managed to accumulate 51 minutes of delays. 12th of October, GVVT's mid. I'm glad I just vegged the shuttles instead of going in. Yeah, I think that's just kind of my mentality towards a lot of, like, vintage museum open days and whatnot, though. Like, entries to get into Bridgeton Garage when they're doing their big open weekend, it's like 6 quid for an under 16 or whatever. Hell, I think it's 8 quid even. They have a lot of good buses there, I will admit. However, at the same time, I feel like if you just veg the shuttles, then you're kind of good to go. 14th through 16th of October, I did my Glasgow Station Scramble. Rode a grand total of 50 trains over that period. Case in point of the SPT roundabout ticket being an absolute steal. Like, I paid £3.85 per day to do this challenge. And on the first day, I rode 22 trains. Like, 22 trains for £3.85 is insane. But yeah, if any of you guys have seen the second 2 days of my Glasgow Station Scramble, you'll have been aware that I was kind of unwell when I filmed those. I thought I had a cold. This was the second time I had COVID, so I was running about Glasgow spreading coronavirus around. So yeah, because me having COVID, that was kind of the last sort of veg stuff I did for October. I went out on the 25th of October because one of my mates, Luke, his channels are here, came up to Glasgow for the day, so we just vegged at Partick. But other than that, the second half of October was very mid for Central Scotland buses. With that being said though, I still managed to ride 120 buses, 1 tram and 56 trains in October. And I spent £24.75 on travel costs, and I filmed 15 videos for Central Scotland Buses, 9 for Central Scotland Buses Deluxe, and 1 for Central Scotland Rail. 1st of November, that Berwick upon Tweed day trip was kind of if I'm honest. 4 videos for 12 hours of leisure, labour is pretty pathetic for my standards. Yeah, 1 video for CSR and 3 for CSB is not great, but with that being said, basically everything I tried to do kind of went to shit. With that being said though, the 2 routes I did FRVs on, the Borders buses 235 and 253, are really good routes. Like, considering the 235 only takes about like a little over half an hour from end to end, it is a really scenic bus route. 8th of November, while I never Aberdeen actually is real. Yeah, I'm not really sure why I started this mock conspiracy theory in my Discord server, link in the description. But for some reason, it must have been back in like July or whatever, I started a conspiracy theory that Aberdeen wasn't real and it only existed as an excuse to sell marked up train tickets to Dundee 2. Yeah, really riveting concept there. 22nd of November, low-key no idea how I like Sunderland, but here we are. Yeah, I will be seeing myself to the psych ward. And then 29th of November, we have first ferry of the year. But yeah, in November, I rode 158 buses, 8 trains, and 2 ferries. A total transport cost equated to £34.35. And in total, I made 35 videos for CSB, 5 for Central Scotland Buses Deluxe, and 6 for Central Scotland Rail. 13th of December, the video I spent all of today filming is probably the best video I've ever made for YouTube, and I would gladly never have to film it again. Yeah, so this video was originally going to release last week. However, I decided to push that video to being next week's video as, you know, Bone Escantille Winter Gala vlog. I thought that releasing fairly soon after the actual gala was probably a smart idea. But yeah, this video, it was kind of just me racing against the daylight so that I could film as many clips as I could before the sun started setting. 20th of December, I can die happy now knowing that I did full route visuals on both Tyne and Wear metro routes before the metro cards were withdrawn, thank God. But yeah, of course, the Class 555s, the cab takes up the full front of the train as opposed to only like half of the front of the train. And by proxy, those seats right at the front, like on the DLR, aren't available on the 555s in the same way that they are on the Tyne and Wear metro cars. So I wanted to do the full journey on both lines before the metro cars were fully phased out, and I have managed to do that. Maybe not in both directions, which kind of stings, but I've at least managed to do, you know, the green line from South Hilton to the airport, and then the yellow line from St James to South Shields. I've covered all the stretch of metro that there is to cover. In total, in December, I rode 162 buses, 28 trains, 1 tram, and a ferry. Total transport costs equated to £49.40, and in total, I filmed 30 videos for Central Scotland Buses, 4 videos for Central Scotland Buses Deluxe, stroke Central Scotland TV, and 5 videos for Central Scotland Rail, which brings us to the end of the year. Now to go through the weird analytic stuff I have at the bottom. The month where I rode the most buses was March at 197, and the month where I rode the least buses was January at only 97 buses, so a difference of exactly 100 between the 2 months. And then the month where I rode the most trams and trains was October, where I rode 56 trains and a tram, and the month where I rode the least trams and trains was August at 3 trains and 2 trams. The single day where I rode the most buses was the 2nd of March, where I rode 24 buses. The day where I rode the most trains was the 14th of October, where I rode 22 trains. The day where I rode the most trams was the 1st of March, where I rode 3 trams, and then I'll just throw this in even though I've not written it out. The day where I rode the most ferries was the 29th of November, where I rode 2. And then the month where I filmed the most content was April at a grand total of 86 videos, compared to the month where I filmed the least content, which was September, where I filmed only 23. And now we have the main thing that you guys probably watched this video for, which is how many buses, trains, and trams I rode this year. In total, over 2025, I rode 1,705 buses, 149 trains, 45 trams, and 3 ferries. So yeah, I almost hit 2,000 buses this year, which is beyond me. Admittedly, do need to remove 555 buses from that count if we're excluding my school commute. So in that regard, I actually rode 1,150 buses just for leisure, which is insane. And then lastly, total transport costs work out to £374.70 in all of 2025. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Happy New Year. Here's to hoping 2026 isn't as shit as 2025 was. With that being said, seeing how this year started, I've got no idea how that's turning out. But yeah, I shall catch you guys in the next video. Take care of yourselves.